Thanks for watching. In this clip, I'll discuss my thoughts on President Trump's executive order on immigration, also known as the Muslim ban.
You know, Betty White really is the greatest Golden Girl. Choosy parents choose Jif. He's so mean. He really is. Hey Ryan, are we out of partisan again?
So, I also put this as pretty drunk.
Okay.
It's hard to narrow it down. It's definitely one of the more drunken things that we've come across. I don't know that it's the most, but it's certainly up there. So again, I would say north of 2, 0.2. And here's the thing. I see only 2 ways that you can support this ban.
Okay.
First way, you are either scared or lazy, or some combination of the 2 of those things. And I think most people fall into that category. I'll come back to that one in a minute. The only other way that you can support this ban is if you're a piece of shit. And I want to be clear, I don't mean that you support the ban and so you're a piece of shit. I mean you're a piece of shit and so you support the ban.
Okay.
Let me break it down. We as humans have some evolutionary tools that we use to survive. And one of the most powerful of those is community, working together. And if you don't think that's, if it sounds weird, just think about what happens when you meet a loner. You think, that guy's really weird. And it's because it's so deep within us that we work together and we have this need for community.
Sure.
So if you're a genuinely good person, if you're nice, if you treat people well, you probably have a decent amount of friends. They'll invite you out to things, they around, because you're a pleasant person to be around. Even if you're not very smart and you say some stupid things, maybe things that are accidentally racist or unintentionally mean, people are probably going to give you a pass because you know what? He's a nice guy. He didn't mean anything by it. He's just not very smart.
Right.
But if you're a piece of shit, especially if you're a dumb piece of shit, when you say those things, people aren't going to want to give you a pass. They're going to be like, get this guy out of my house. I'm tired of being around him. He's a piece of shit, right?
Right.
So you don't have that core need of humanity met within you. So when you stumble across something like Breitbart, you realize, oh my God, there's so many pieces of shit out there just like me. And you get that thing that you've been missing. This core need of yours is finally met. This sense of community, people who think like you and who are just like you. So when a person in power comes to you and says, we have problem X, and here's the solution. And the solution plays perfectly into that moral compass, or immoral compass, you could say.
The piece of shit compass.
Exactly. It plays right into that. Why would you try to find a reason to make that not the case? And why would you try to overturn that core need that's finally been met?
Yeah, makes it okay.
Right. And the answer is you wouldn't because you're a piece of shit.
Okay.
So, the other scenario, which I think most people fall into, you're scared or you're lazy or some combination thereof. Now, fear is also one of those primal drivers. It makes us want to act. It makes us want to do something, and it shuts down cognitive thinking because it's fight or flight. It's not fight or think a lot or flight.
Right.
It's just one of those 2. Now, you as a person have probably not been affected personally by a terrorist attack in long enough that you should probably be able to think about things at this point. And that's where the laziness kicks in. You need to have some kind of mental curiosity.
Sure.
And if you don't, I've done some legwork for you.
Ooh.
So,
do tell.
Is it a ban? Is it not a ban? Does it target Muslims? Doesn't it? Well, we know that Trump campaigned on banning Muslims.
Sure. He considered a Muslim registry.
He did. He considered a registry. So, okay, but that just sounds blatantly unconstitutional, right? So is this the same thing, or is it not?
Good question.
So what we can do is we can ask Rudy Giuliani.
All right.
So let's hear what Rudy has to say.
Make sure he's near your microphone.
When he first announced it, he said Muslim ban. He called me up, he said, put a commission together, show me the right way to do it legally. I put a commission together with Judge Mukasey, with Congressman McCall, Pete King, whole group of other very expert lawyers on this. And what we did was we focused on, instead of religion, danger.
Okay. So we're going to give him the benefit of the doubt here, right?
Are we?
We are.
Okay.
So take this. He says, we're not focusing on religion, we're focusing on danger, right?
Okay.
Okay, so all right, let's focus on danger. I think Ryan's done a really good job of hashing out where the danger does or doesn't exist, and what I mean is that it doesn't.
Right.
Let's still give him the benefit of the doubt.
Okay.
So the danger doesn't exist, but maybe we just have a really good track record. Maybe we got lucky. Because I've heard people say, we can't just let anyone in. We need to stop this so we can figure out what's going on. This is so we can figure out what's going on.
Okay.
So do we know what's going on? And you kind of talked about it a little bit earlier.
Okay.
But I've got a little bit more information. I did some more legwork for you people out there who are just lazy.
I hope you're excited. I am.
So, first of all, we want to know what a refugee is. 'Cause this is what we're talking about, really.
Sure, yep.
It's someone who's outside of the United States, is of special humanitarian concern, and demonstrates that they were persecuted or fear persecution due to race, religion, nationality, political opinion, or membership in a particular social group. They're not settled in another country, they don't have a home outside of another country, and they're admissible to the United States.
Okay.
It's also important to note that if a refugee has incited, ordered, assisted, or otherwise participated in the persecution of any person on any of those grounds, they are not admissible to the United States. And now, as far as like you're a refugee, or you want to be, and you say, hey, I want to go to the United States. So you just go to the embassy and you say, I'd like to be a refugee.
And they just let you in?
Yep. Turns out, no. You actually have to be recommended by the United Nations or by a third party who is previously vetted by the United States government as someone who is allowed to recommend refugees.
Okay.
So you have to be recommended before you're even considered. Then the consideration starts. It starts with interviews from the State Department, from the National Counterterrorism Center and Terrorist Screening Center, the Terrorist Watch List. You're checked against TECS, which is Department of Treasury, Interpol, DEA, Health and Human Services, and the FBI, the National Crime Information Center Wanted Persons File, the Immigration Violator File, Foreign Fugitive File, Violent Gang and Terrorist Organization File, and Interstate Identification Index. Now, this is just the first section. All of these parts have biological scans. You need fingerprints. They look at your money records if they can find it. That's before there's the security advisory option, where these people work together and discuss if you are who you say you are. They interview people you know, if they're around. And all of these people are trained on refugee law, grounds of inadmissibility, fraud detection and prevention, security protocols, interviewing techniques, credibility analysis, and they're trained on your specific country that you're coming from and applying for refugee status from. And after all of this, there's more review between all of the agencies again to make sure that your story checks out, and it still checks out. Oh, by the way, if you're Syrian, if you're from Syria, you're under extra scrutiny on top of all of this stuff because we recognize. And then Customs and Border Patrol they screen you before you leave the country and right after you get to the United States to make sure you're still who you say you are. So we don't just let anybody in. Also, this process, average of 18 to 24 months.
Oh, wow.
So we're not just letting anyone in, right?
Is that hard to find?
Oh, no, and that's the sad thing. It took me about 5 minutes to find that.
Wow, 5 minutes.
That's a lot of effort. Now, with all of this information, we know that the danger is minuscule. It's far less than other things we don't consider to be dangerous.
Correct.
We know that we vet these people relentlessly, and maybe that's why we have a perfect record from these countries since 1975. So, if your position is, we need to find out what's going on, if you want to believe that they're doing this to put in place a better system, that doesn't really hold much water. Maybe it's just about what Trump said it was about.
Shall I read you the statement? Donald J. Trump is calling for a total and complete shutdown of Muslims entering the United States.
What was that from?
Oh, that was from when Donald Trump was running for president.
Okay.
So maybe we just look at it for what it is, and we call it a Muslim ban. And you know what? Also,
Well, that was the intent. Whether or not they worked around it, with legalese is
Sure.
up to the law to decide. But the intent was a Muslim ban.
Certainly. And let me tell you, I have never heard people work so hard to prove their candidate hasn't followed through on a campaign promise. Never seen it. That's crazy.
That's funny.
And I've just got one more thing, and that's a message to the Christians out there. If you're a Christian and you support this ban, you are the worst hypocrite there is. You demand that people in the government respect your religion and your right to practice it however you see fit. And then you ask them to use religion as the means by which we revoke safe haven from people fleeing war. You use this guise of practicality to absolve yourself from any moral responsibility and hide yourself from the misery and the unneeded suffering that's a direct result of your complacency. You preach love and you preach compassion, but you support a candidate and a policy that shows none of those fruit. One day, won't answer to us, but one day you will be called to judgment. And if the Lord asks you, when I was the stranger, did you invite me in? Did you love your neighbor as I loved you? What are you going to say? That you were lazy, or that you were scared but it felt good? I can only hope that the Lord is as merciful as you are indifferent. Last call?
Cheers.
Cheers.
Well, thank you, everyone.
Thanks for watching. Subscribe.
Tell a friend. Share.
Write a comment.
Ask a question. We'll give it a shot. Give us a topic to speak on. We'd be happy to do that too.
Sure.
All right. Till next time, it's just beer and politics.
Beer, politics. That's good beer.
It is.
Yep.